Welcome back to another video. Look at all this. Got all this stainless piping from Amazon. I have everything in except for the exhaust. So this is how it's looking. Turbo's not bolted in, but it's sitting in place. And the flange being right there, it looks like it'll fit a 9D perfectly straight down through there. This is where I actually have everything to hopefully make my own custom exhaust. I've never TIG welded before, like properly. I've done it for practice, but it wasn't really good and there was no purpose in it. So I'm using this to kind of learn TIG welding and everything. So I got this kit off of Amazon for $160 and I just got a universal kit, and this one came with the ends kind of flared up. One end is like that and then the other is straight like normal. But this makes it really easy so that you can slide a tube in there and then weld around there. There's 2 U's, 245s, 2 straight long straights, and 2 90s. You can have a 3-inch, oh yeah, by the way, this is all 3-inch flex pipe right here with the V-band for the downpipe. I got the wastegate all bolted in, and then the screamer pipe comes down perfectly level with the transmission, so that's not gonna hit the ground at all. It's perfect length. I have that clocked over towards the engine so that the downpipe can come in through there, around, down, into the back. Now that the wastegate is fully in and out of the way, you can see it's all tucked up towards the transmission, but it's not touching anything, so that's literally perfect right there. I'm gonna want the downpipe to come down through there. It's really hard to show this, but downpipe to come down through there. So you could make it so that it's straight on there and it's going down, but then that's in line with the frame and very close to the valve cover. So instead, what I'm gonna do is angle it that way so that it misses the frame and then also has some room away from the valve cover. And then here, it's gonna be that gap right there. So I just measured it right there so that when I bring it to the shop, it's about 4 inches from the flange to here. And I'm gonna try and make it slip into here so that, you know, less chance of a leak. But we measured the gap, the distance from right here to the flange up there, and from the bottom to the flange, from the top is 1/8 of an inch and the bottom is 0. So that'll hopefully give us a pipe that will sit like this, but completely flush, like the distance from here of 1/8 inch, but sitting flush. And then it'll slip into this pipe, giving us the angle on the flange straight down to there. So the first mock-up, I already made a mistake. Instead of, I thought that this flange was where these 2 points were upright like this. So I welded it so that the slant starts down there. So now it's kind of angling up in this way, so it's not really kicking it out towards the shock tower enough. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mark right here where I want it welded so that I can just take this, rotate it over to that point, and hopefully that'll be enough this way. And then I'll also cut some length off of this pipe right here so that it's not as close to the firewall. So after a few tries, I finally got a setup that I wanted with this flange. So I got a piece of straight tube cut down to about 3 inches long, and then I took the bandsaw and put it at 9 degrees so that it can cut at about 3/8 of an inch from one side to the other, and then tacked it up onto this, and that has that angle down like that. And I marked it right there to show that that was the point closest to the shock tower and the point furthest from the shock tower. And then I put this on top on the bandsaw, and the bandsaw was like this. So, you know, easy stuff. Got that in there. Now I can slip this elbow on over there. And now I can just simply drop this into here, bolt it in, and that's the final resting location of the downpipe. You can see there all the gaps around everything. That wire's not going to be there, but just showing, clears the valve cover, goes straight down. So I got the first piece welded on. This is my first time welding TIG. Did it standing up. This shit was uncomfortable as hell. So there's sometimes that they came out good, and then sometimes I wasn't comfortable like there. But it's gonna seal, so that's gonna be the tricky part with the 1/2 inch flange. But now I'm tacking these on so that I can get the O2 sensors in. Here we go. That's exactly what I wanted to see. All bolts on fully, the flange is on fully, no warpage. Did those, like I said. These were mine, and these were my coworker, by the way, because flange is so much thicker. You have to do it at so much more amps. So then I didn't want to blow through this piping right here. So he did that for me. And then I did those 2 bungs. But that's the clearance on each side. Making this exhaust under the car is going to be a lot harder than I originally thought, because there's like no room. But I went under there, held up this 90 so that this piece right here was as tucked up as possible, and then this piece was up, lined up with that up there, and to about roughly in the middle of this angle grinder. Made that really nice and easy. Harbor Freight angle grinder, very good. So I have this piece right here butted up against the downpipe, and it looks like it's going to clear the firewall perfectly, clear the downpipe nicely and all that. So I'm going to tack this piece onto the downpipe so that I can then take the 90 and measure that up. I cut 3.5 inches off the bottom, so now I'm going to try and get that angled right.
Porque ahí no necesita, porque tiene buen...
Also, I should state this before y'all start bugging out about my welds being ugly. This is my 2nd time welding TIG. Here's the downpipe all tacked together. Got a tack there and a tack there. That piece all welded up. And that is what the downpipe looks. I'm finally back here to finish the exhaust, and the downpipe that I have right now comes down under the car like this. And as you can see, I think this was going into my driveway. I already scraped it here, and I was planning on putting the V-band right here, but then the clamp would sit about that low, and then if I ever hit it, it would bend the clamp and it would just be so much more work. So I have it marked up here, right there. I'm gonna cut it right there, and then put the V-band up here so I can have the nut, I can tighten it right here, and then I still have this bottom section, no issue, and then I can have the flex pipe straight on here with no issues and not have any ripping clamp off issues. So I plan on having it be down here, flex pipe, with some bendy sections coming through here, making sure it's all tucked in, and then once I get over to around here, I want to have the resonator right under this heat shield, and then another straight section, and then I have the V-band right before the subframe, so that I can take the bottom, I can take the back end of the exhaust off and still service the rear end, and then have the muffler all the way back over there.
Let me inspect this well.
First time TIGging in like 5 months. Got the V-band all welded on. So now in the car, I'm gonna put this piece onto there, line it up, and put a tack on under the car. So we got like 1/16 cut off of this, and now downpipe is on there. That's just to make up the difference of the V-band. And with this all onto the V-band right there, it's up there, I'll be able to fit a socket onto that nut right there, easy. And then it's exactly the height that I want it to be. It's about 1/2 inch lower than the frame rail, and then I can get the flex pipe all tucked away right here, and she'll be money. So there it is, tacked in place. Once again, she's looking good. And then it's also got a little distance from the control arm lollipop. So now both V-bands are fully welded up, and I'm letting it cool down so I can unclamp this. So now right here
Got that little piece, and I got it at an angle because it was sitting a little bit high and close to the chassis, and the flex pipe was hitting. So got it bent down a little bit, and then a 45 right here into another 45 into the resonator right here, held by the jack. So I'm just gonna start tacking everything up. This is it outside. It actually looks amazing. I'm used to seeing it under there, but now there's not a big gap there, not a big gap there, not bad there. But then there, huge gap, so I need to fill that in, get it all welded up, and then the flex pipe has a lot of play in it, so it doesn't really matter. So I got it all welded up. Don't look too closely because this welding with this button is the worst thing in the world. It's so uncomfortable. I can never find the comfortable position, but now it's ready to put it back in the car and see how everything fits up. So right now we have this view and also this little intersection right here that dips down lower than the exhaust. So this exhaust is going to be sitting like this, and we're planning on taking this U, cutting it right where my thumb is right here, and then having it come a little bit to the left right here with the U, and then probably cutting it down the middle right here and flipping this whole tube right here 180 degrees so it comes back out towards the rear of the car. So now fits right into the V-band right there. From this angle, this is what it looks like. Still off the heat shield, and then the other piece can just get kicked back up through here. After a painful amount of time, finally got this up intact, and this is how it's sitting. So I just took a step back to see what the exhaust looked like, and everything from the front end looks really good. The resonator is very good, and then I just hate how low this is. It comes down a little bit lower than the whole frame, but I do have to come down that low so that I can clear the subframe. So it's kind of close right here, or like I would have rather it gone a little bit higher than down, but I'm getting too picky because the heat shield is still like an inch above this. So just gonna take the whole exhaust off and start welding it up. I got my little welding booth right here. I'm about to sit down and spend like an hour welding all these up. It's fully welded. That's probably the nicest one that I did. Now I can take this and slide it in. With this muffler in place up here, we had it there, and then we take a piece of straight, measured from here all the way down to the back of the muffler, and now he's cutting that over there, and we're hoping that just with the straight, with a little bit of an angle off of here, we'll fix everything up and it'll be good. So here, have it straight. It gets so close to the trailing arm, but the trailing arm is drooped all the way with the suspension not loaded. So once the wheel goes up, the trailing arm will pick up a little bit, but it's still pretty close right there. And then that goes into right here, the muffler. It's kind of low, but not really, because when it gets to over here, it's about where I want it to be. So I'm just gonna pull the muffler out a little bit so it's not all the way in, tack it in, and then we can start seeing all the other fitment issues. So from the side view, this still looks pretty decent right there, and then it comes back down over and into here, and then the muffler sits kind of lower but picks back up in the end. So I'm gonna tack it all up and get this shit done. Straight section and the muffler are on. Welding on the wrinkled black is a really bad idea, so we're gonna grind that all away, make it better for the weld. There she is. Here's the downpipe that I made like 6 months ago, it feels like. I think it actually was like 6 months. O2 right there. And then I have the V-band there instead of down here. Coming along. Vibrant ultra quiet resonator. Another V-band into the vibrant street speed muffler. It looks so good. So on this little cross member heat shield plate right here, we're gonna weld this right onto there, and then we have one that we bent at a 90 right here that we're gonna put on this side like this, so that the hangers are basically in line with each other, and then we're gonna put on the exhaust one of these between the two. So here we are, final stretch. Have the whole back end of the exhaust held up to where it's supposed to be with the jack. This is all welded in right here. And the idea is these two are in line. And then we're gonna weld 2 rods coming from the bottom of here. One to over here, one to over here. And then once the weight of the exhaust gets lowered down, it'll be even and it'll be good. I tried TIG welding under here and I left a big ass glob on there, so I said, fuck it, and grabbed the MIG. So there and there I just MIG welded it on. It looks like shit, but this part is all good and done. This is the last hanger right here on the back muffler side, because I want to use this bolt right here that's for the subframe hanger, but I don't have it because when I took my subframe apart, I took it out and I didn't put it back on. So I want to put one right there, and then this one's too far, so this one's very temporary. This is how it sits, and it does shake around a little bit and it does hit the wheel well, but once I get the other subframe and all that stuff bolted in, hopefully it'll stabilize it more. But now I get to go turn it on. It's so quiet. That cold start, you literally you literally can't even hear it. You can hear the blow off. Ooh, I can't wait to put y'all on my head and go for some ride. So for reference, after finishing the exhaust, this is what was left. Not bad. So I disconnected the E-fan so it's not always on, so you guys can get a more clear sound of what it sounds like. Oh, I hit my exhaust so bad right there getting in, so now I gotta try and that wasn't that bad. It sounds so good. It's like very quiet inside. but high RPM, so I want to make sure that I want to see what happens. It's been so long since I've missed the gear. Holy shit. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. If you made it to this point, I really appreciate you, and your support means a lot to me. And if you want more real lifetime updates, follow me on Instagram right here. And yeah, stay tuned for more videos.